Hi, dear Toastmasters, guests, and friends. Welcome to Toastmasters, the world's biggest platform for leadership skills and your communication skills. We are District 31, and I welcome you to our talk show called Open Heart with District 31. Tonight, we have a special guest on our talk show. If you would ask me who is the expert on Zoom meetings in District 31, there's one name that will come to your mind. If you ask me who is the most helpful Toastmaster in District 31, there's only one name that comes to your mind. A Toastmaster who's been a division director multiple times, a Toastmaster who's been my peer as a division director, and we work together on CLCons, past two CLCons, and now we are part of the Fab4. Without any further ado, please join and welcome my dear good friend, Toastmaster Jen, onto our talk show. Toastmaster Jen, how are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing very well today. Thank you.
How's the day been so far, Toastmaster Jen?
Awesome. It's been a hectic day, but it's pick up my CSA box day, picking up my vegetables day that I get from my local farm. So I was very excited to see the multitude of different vegetables that I had in the box today. So doing well.
Very nice. Thank you, Toastmaster Jen. Toastmaster Jen, I ask all my guests one question. Why did you join Toastmasters? How? Why? If you can talk about your Toastmasters journey with us, Toastmaster Jen.
Sure thing. I joined Toastmasters back in around 2010, so I'm about approaching 12 years here in Toastmasters. And I joined because I was having difficulties giving presentations at work. I spoke to a fellow coworker, and he mentioned that if I'm having so much difficulties in terms of getting out my presentations and actually getting my thoughts and ideas away away from my PowerPoint, then besides reading it, I really should maybe perhaps join Toastmasters. I didn't know what Toastmasters was at the time. I did do some Googling, and I read about all about Toastmasters and how it can help me with my public speaking. I actually found a flyer later, I want to say a few weeks later at my work, because I was busy and I didn't have time, but I found a flyer at work, and lo and behold, there was a flyer for Toastmasters. We had a corporate club at my job. So I looked up the club officers. I actually knew one of them. I reached out to him, and he said, "Well, matter of fact, we actually have a meeting today." And I think the history. The rest of the history is made. I joined him that day. I said, "I'm not too sure. I'm not someone that is I'm very shy, and I didn't want to talk to anyone at that meeting besides him. But I heard good things about Toastmasters. So later that day, I wrote him a check and I joined the club. And that is how I joined Toastmasters and found out about Toastmasters.
Wonderful story, Toastmaster Jen. Do you recall what was in the pamphlet that you read, Toastmaster Jen?
I think it said where leaders are made. That's what I read in the pamphlet. It was very brief. It had a name I can contact or a interlink I can go to, and I went to the interlink, and that's where I found it. It was very small. It was just talking about the club officers and who I can go to, and I found a familiar name.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, Toastmaster Jen. Now, the other question is what keeps you in Toastmasters? You shared why you joined Toastmasters, but you're a distinguished Toastmaster now. What keeps you going in Toastmasters, Toastmaster Jen?
I'll answer that. There's two parts to it. The first part is that I can always grow and continue growing as a not only a leader but a communicator in Toastmasters. I feel that yes, I have my Distinguished Toastmaster award or distinction, but I can always get better as a speaker. It always helps me with my impromptu speaking and if I have to actually give in-person presentations at work. So I feel that that's one of the reasons why I keep doing it because I can always grow as not only a communicator but a leader. And the second part is because, and I always use this as my favorite word of the day, the camaraderie. I love the camaraderie. I have friends here in Toastmasters, and it's great because everyone's helpful, and we're all aiming for one thing, right? And which is becoming better speakers and leaders.
Beautiful, Toastmaster Jen. Thank you for sharing that. Toastmaster Jen, now we move to the second segment of our meeting. I would ask you the impact of Toastmasters on your personal life, professional life, social life, spiritual life. Would you like to talk about that, Toastmaster Jen?
Sure thing. So personally, I think I touched a little bit on that. I've met several different people along the way. I had mentors and friends, but the biggest thing is meeting friends along the way. I have some friends from work, but I also did not grow up here in Massachusetts. I grew up here in New York, and as an introvert, it's very difficult for me to go and find friends. So through Toastmasters, I was able to talk to a bunch of people, and eventually we found that yes, we have common interests in Toastmasters, but we might have other common interests. And actually, at one point, I started hanging out with the people in my club and do things beyond the club. And at pre-pandemic, we were doing dinner, and even beyond that, we would do activities. So I'd say that socially, I became more friends and have more friends, and at work, it actually helped me professionally because I'm more relaxed when I give presentations. I give daily stand-up meetings every day. I run them, and I speak off the cuff most of the part because it's impromptu, and really table topics of Toastmasters or Toastmasters in general has helped me with that.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jen. Fabulous answer on that note. Toastmaster Jen, now we move to the third segment of our meeting, which is why should someone join Toastmasters? You shared the impact of Toastmasters on your personal life, professional life, social life. But what are the two things or three things that our guests watching the show should take away home?
Yeah, so one of the things for why I think people really should join Toastmasters is because not only it prepares you to speak professionally with prepared speeches, so you can equate that to your presentations or whatever talks you need to give at work, and also it helps you become a better leader. You don't have to take any courses or even have to get any real formal education as a result of that. But one true thing is, throughout the pandemic, I saw many people lose their jobs or leave their jobs. And part of the reason is I felt like was because of communication, not the lack of communication or the lack of leadership that they had at their jobs. And truthfully, I think that it would have helped them if they had Toastmasters. And it was people of different professions, computer programmers, engineers, scientists, might have had a STEM theme there, but in general, it, I would have felt that Toastmasters would have helped them in general. And I think the process of getting a new job with impromptu speaking, with table topics, for example, would have helped speed up the process if they actually were part of tabletop or Toastmasters because of table topics and everything else. And it also helps them as a leader give effective evaluations in their real place at work. So I feel observation last few years, a lot of people losing their jobs and perhaps could have kept some of them, or the job process could have been sped up through Toastmasters. So I feel like everyone can benefit from Toastmasters one way or another.
Thank you for the hot tip, Toastmaster Jen. Toastmaster Jen, you're the club growth director this year. What are your plans for DC31 this year, Toastmaster Jen? Would you like to share something with our audience?
Sure thing. I would love to get with the members, see what the members really want, and I believe Audrey's already doing that with her feedback book. But I want to know what it is why we're losing members, and how we can use that information to keep and maintain our members. I really want to do that. I also plan on going out and finding those different niches of members that might not know what Toastmasters is all about, but can definitely benefit from it. As I mentioned earlier, I believe anyone and everyone should benefit from Toastmasters. Just how they can benefit from Toastmasters is a different story. But what I really want to do is find those different niches and be able to get across to different categories of people, different groups of people, and really just talk to them and show them how Toastmasters can really be part of their life. So that's for growing our clubs, and for our members, really try to help retain them by finding out what they want and helping them attain that.
Thank
And
you.
that
It
is
was
what I want to do.
wonderful. You have a plan for growing our clubs and a plan for retaining our members. That's amazing, Toastmaster Jen. Toastmaster Jen, now we move to the fourth section, which is the rapid fire round. I would ask you some impromptu questions and I would expect some impromptu answers, not as big as table topics, but shorter and sweeter. Are you ready for it, Toastmaster Jen?
Sure thing.
Toastmaster Jen, your first question, Yankees or Red Sox?
I think we all know that. Yankees. Next week they're going to be playing Red Sox, and I will be there with my Yankees gear.
Sounds good, Toastmaster Jen. Toastmaster Jen, a favorite speech, historic speech that you go back and review and get inspiration from, a favorite historic speech?
I wouldn't say that I had a favorite historic speech, but speeches that I find inspirational in general are speeches that I hear at the district level or even the international level speech contest from the people that are competing at those levels, because their speeches are very inspirational to me. And when I hear them speak, I say to myself, wow, I thought I had a bad day, but perhaps they didn't. They had a worse day than me, and I really should not even complain about what I'm complaining about. And to be honest, they're very inspirational because they overcome their troubles, and it makes me think, growing up, yes, I might have complained once in a while about how, as a typical teenager, I hate my life, but it's really not that bad. And other people had it worse or had obstacles to overcome. So I find those speeches at the international and the district level inspirational to me.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jen. A historic leader that inspires you a lot, Toastmaster Jen?
Wow. So there's several people that probably come to my mind, but I want to say keep it local. Someone that I actually talk to every day is my ex-manager. He's only my ex-manager because I moved on up in the company and got a better job, but I strive to be him. In a few weeks, I'll be getting direct reports just like him. And these last 5 years, I've watched him grow as a leader at work, and mainly because he gets with his direct reports, he gets with them and gives them what he wants. Something that I wanted to do with the members of District 31 Toastmasters. I see how he is a great leader by maybe not necessarily caving in or giving in to their direct demands, but he helps them get there. Whether it's in between or actually giving them what they want, or something that's in between and what's realistic, right? So to me, he's who I inspire. He inspires me as a leader.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jen. Toastmaster Jen, your personal favorite speech when you delivered, you said, I did a fabulous job giving this speech. Any speech that comes to mind?
I think there's a few that come to my mind, but probably the one that comes to my mind was when I was a test speaker and an evaluation contest, and I was talking about growing up and how I had this little brother. I still have a little brother. He's just a lot older now, and how he was a pain in my you-know-what growing up. And the thing is, I thought I did the greatest speech when I was the test speaker then. I want to say I was probably 2 years into Toastmasters at the time. I finally got my confidence to give speeches, and I was talking, and I said, wow, I'm here at this evaluation contest. It was actually at the area level, and I thought it was the greatest speech. But we all know it is an evaluation contest, so I definitely had feedback there. But it was a speech that resonated with me because I want to say it was in my earlier Toastmasters years, and I thought it was the greatest speech at that time. At this point, I probably could make way more improvements, in particular to what the evaluator gave me, but um, overall, I think that was the one that came to my mind.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jen. Personal stories is something which is always close to heart. Toastmaster Jen, a book that you like to recommend to our audience and guests?
Sure thing. So it's not just one book. I want to say it's a trilogy of books. And when I say trilogy, it's more than 3. I want to recommend to everyone the Harry Potter series. If you haven't read it, you should go out and read it. It's a lot of fantasy and a lot of fiction and a lot of imagination, but the characters grow on you. I only started reading it pre-pandemic and started reading it because of the pandemic of not having a lot of things to do. We couldn't really go out, but I really got myself captivated. I now know more of Harry, Hermione, and Ron besides the fact that they're characters in this book, but I really grew with them as the books went on, and I would say if you have the time and you want to have some adventure stories, the Harry Potter series.
Wonderful, wonderful choice, Toastmaster Jen. I read it during the pandemic and I fell in love with all the books. On that note, Toastmaster Jen, what house would you say you are? Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, or Slytherin? Which is your favorite one?
Wow. Well, we really only heard about Gryffindor and Slytherin, right? So we'll go with Gryffindor. Although I'm probably more a Hufflepuff or Ravenclaw. At work, we made a joke of which house are you in based on which program you work for, and allegedly might be a Slytherin or Gryffindor, but let's just say I'm in.
Sounds good. Thank you, Toastmaster Jen. Toastmaster Jen, a food that you like to eat a lot, your go-to food, your comfort food.
I want to say my comfort food is probably something Asian because of my heritage. In particular, I want to say it's called congee or rice porridge. On the basics, it's basically rice and water, and you can put in some sides if you want, so 1,000-year-old eggs, parsley, cilantro, any kind of hot sauce, usually some with some kind of protein. But it's like my comfort food, and my favorite is probably when the congee that my dad makes the day after Thanksgiving. He'll make a big pot of congee with the turkey carcass, and after that morning shopping that we do on Friday, I'll come home and I'll have that. And to me, that's like my perfect comfort food. So I would say turkey congee.
Turkey congee. Thank you, Toastmaster Jen. That wraps up our rapid fire round. Toastmaster Jen, anything else that you'd like to share with our audience?
Nothing else I wanted to really share with the audience. Reach out to me if you have any suggestions, though, on how to keep members here in District 31. Thank you very much, Sarah.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jen. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you choose to come down and talk to us. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Dear Toastmasters, this was our Club Board Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Jen, on Open Heart with District 31. If you have any Toastmaster that you would like us to have a conversation with, please do mention their name in our comment section. Please do like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please do count how many hours and hours I had in my interview today, because I would like to have a clean slate. On that note, I am Veera Sriram, your Public Relations Manager, signing off. Please stay hydrated and stay safe until our next episode. Signing off. Bye-bye.